Okay, so we'll be continuing with Lamarckism. In the previous presentation, we saw uh, the different laws proposed by Lamarck in his theory of inheritance of acquired characters. And here we'll be seeing, looking into the criticism against Lamarckism and the present status of Lamarckism along with Neo-Lamarckism. Okay. Now, arguments against Lamarckism, the main criticism was that it lacked experimental evidence, and his works were highly subjective speculations about the facts he observed directly. So, the following were the criticism. Here you can see the first one, the tendency to increase in size. So, Lamarck's first principle was that the tendency to increase in size is not universally acceptable. In some cases, it is true, but there are many cases where the evolution proceeds not only without any increase, but we can see that there is a decrease in size of the body part. For example, human eyes. Human eyes, constantly used for reading and writing, do not become more efficient. So, as per Lamarck, the size of the body part which is used constantly has to increase in size. But this doesn't happen. Instead, it develops impaired vision, isn't it? Now, the next one postulate, it is the second principle, is that new organs develop where there is a felt need by the organism. Again, it is also not true. Organs and structures are not developed according to the desire by the individual. For instance, if we feel that birds can fly, and so I also would like to, if that is a desire by a human, obviously it is a desire, but never with that desire the humans can develop a new organ, okay, and help us to develop wings and fly in the air. The third principle, it is the use and disuse of body part. It says constant use of a particular organ will better develop the organ, while constant disuse will lead to the degeneration of the body part. This actually carries some weight as far as the development of that organ within the lifetime of an individual is concerned. It is also true that temporary changes can be brought about in the organization of individual in response to environmental change. But the major criticism of Lamarck's theory is against the inheritance of acquired characters. So this kind of characters can be developed in an individual, but obviously it cannot pass from one generation to another. Okay, use of a body part can increase or it can better develop the particular body part in an individual. Similarly, disuse of a body part can actually bring down or degenerate, lead to degeneration of the body part in a particular individual. But these two acquired characters cannot pass from one to the other, or that is, it cannot be passed to the next generation. So that is what the major criticism was against the Lamarck's theory. And arguments against the inheritance of acquired characters, it could be summarized like one, the muscles of an athlete increase in strength and bulk with extensive use, but recede or decrease if exercise is discontinued. But children never inherit such acquired characters of a father. Secondly, circumstances by Jews and Mohammedans and the traditionally bound feet of Chinese women. You may have seen that the feet is bound with a cloth and during infancy, and that makes the feet smaller in Chinese women. These have been practiced from time immemorial, but none of this character is inherited. Okay. Another example, it is the battle scars acquired by soldiers. That is, injuries that turn into scars on the body of the soldiers. That is again never inherited by their children. So these were a few examples that was used again, as arguments against the use and disuse of body parts. Now, experimentally, it was proved by German biologist August Wiemann. August Wiemann conducted famous experiment to disprove Lamarckism, where he cut off the tail of a set of rats at birth and continued his operation for 20 generations. However, when he discontinued this operation of cutting off the tail, the 21st generation rats developed full-length tail. So thus, even 20 generations of disuse did not produce any effect in the offspring. Lamarckism received another severe blow when Wiemann proposed the theory of continuity of germplasm. Okay. In 1892, August Wiemann proposed the theory of continuity of the germplasm, and according to that, the body of an organism is divisible into two distinct components, namely the somatoplasm and the germplasm. Somatoplasm, it constitutes the protoplasm of all the body cells, while the germplasm constitutes the protoplasm of the gametes or the reproductive cells. The somatic cells, they get destroyed with the death of the individual, and hence any character acquired by the somatic cells or somatoplasm through use or disuse is not heritable. Okay. On the other hand, whatever acquired characters are being taken by the gametes, uh, it is passed on to the hereditary characters. Okay, and these are passed on as hereditary characters to the next generation. So in sexual reproduction, the germplasm of two individuals unite, that is gametes unite to form a common stream. Thus there is a continuity of germplasm through generations, but never there is a continuity of somatoplasm. Okay, here continuity refer to passing on from one generation to another. Okay, so this is what Wieman put forward and a theory of continuity of germplasm, and this disproved Lamarckism, because whatever examples was taken as taken up by Lamarckism, it all represented the characters acquired by somatoplasm, and it never influenced or affected the germplasm. So these characters can never be passed to the next generation. Okay. Now, what is the present status of Lamarckism? Lamarck's theory, obviously, in the light of modern knowledge of inheritance, it is completely disproved. It is rejected. Hereditary characters of an organism are the results of action and interaction of genes which are transmitted from generation to generation through the chromosomes of gametes, and not through the body cells or the what is referred as a somatoplasm by Wieman. The experiments by Mendel, Morgan, and many other modern geneticists proved this particular aspect. Since hereditary variations can be produced by changes in the structure of genes, the changes in the genes, it is referred as a mutation. And here we can see that it is these mutations which get passed on to the next generation. So Lamarck had no idea about chromosomes, genes, or genetic code at that time, and hence he could not comment on, or he could not have such a kind of a perspective. But although Lamarckism is completely rejected today, Lamarck's idea of evolution in the form of a complete theory, it was the first of its kind. Okay, and hence it do have a very great importance in the among the theories of organic evolution. Okay, now the next one is the Neolamarckism. Neolamarckism is actually a modified version of Lamarckism, and it is an attempt made by followers of Lamarck like Herbert Spencer, Ernst Haeckel, Hayat, Packard, McDougall, Osborne, Cannon, Lysenko, etc. They had taken the effort to revive Lamarckism in the light of recent biological knowledge, and also by contributing their own ideas to modify it. So this modified version argues that the possibility of some of the acquired characters being inherited as per the just like what Lamarck put forward. Now, non-Lamarckians conducted a number of experiments in support to their view. The Neo-Lamarckians, like Kammerer, Geyer and Smith, McDougall, they had come up with many experiments to prove the Lamarckism in view of modern knowledge or advanced biological knowledge. Now, the first one being Kammerer's experiment on the inheritance of skin pigments and eyes in Proteus. Proteus is actually a cave-dwelling salamander, and that lives in total darkness in the cave. Hence, Proteus is colorless and its eyes are non-functional and vestigial. However, when the animal was brought into daylight, it became dark in color or black in color due to the development of black pigments, and gradually the eyes also became functional. So Kammerer found that these characters were inherited by the offspring. Thus, changed environmental conditions, according to Neo-Lamarckians, could induce heritable changes in animals. Okay. That is also the first experiment proving the Lamarck's theory. Then that is, such characters can be passed to the next generation. Then experiments conducted by Geyer and Smith was on the effects of antiserum in the fowl. They injected a solution of crystalline lens extracted from the eye of a rabbit. They injected it into the blood of the fowl. As a result, antibodies were developed in the blood of the fowl. The serum of the fowl containing this antibody was then injected into pregnant rabbits. It was found that some of the offsprings of this treated rabbits developed defective eyes, which were inherited later on by succeeding generations. So again, there is a acquired character can be passed from one generation to another. That is what is being proved through the experiment. The third experiment, it was by McDougall. He was an American physiologist, and in 1939 he conducted experiments on rats to prove that learning, which is an acquired character, could be inherited by the next generation. In his experiments, rats were dropped into a water tank with two escape routes, one which was lighted and the other was a darker route. The rats trying to escape through the lighted route were provided with an electric shock so that they could avoid this route and select the dark exit. After repeated trials, McDougall was able to train the rats to choose the dark routes for escape and completely avoid the lighted route. From the offsprings of such trained rats, he repeated the experiment for 45 generations and found that there was a gradual decrease in the number of trials required by the rats to choose the darker route for escape. So in other words, this acquired learning trait was inherited by the rats. Okay, it was passed from one to the other generation. Now the fourth experiment was conducted on stickleback fish, Gasterosteus, the inheritance of bony plates in the stickleback fish. So the habitat of stickleback includes freshwater, seawater, and brackish water, and the marine stickleback had more bony plates on the mid-dorsal line of the trunk than the brackish water. In marine ones, they had 20 to 30 bony plates, while the brackish water species had only 3 to 15, while the freshwater species had none. They didn't have any bony plates on the mid-dorsal line of the trunk. The bony plates protect the fish from the tides, waves, and salt. However, when a marine stickleback was brought into fresh water, it lost all the bony plates, while a freshwater species developed the bony plates when they were taken into the seawater. These losses or acquisitions or development of the character are later found to be inherited by their offsprings. So similar such experiments were conducted to prove Lamarckian principles by many others in the early and middle part of the century, and the Russian scientists Michurin and Lysenko did experiments on the acclimatization of fruit trees and croplands to cold climates. So there have been plenty of such examples or such experiments conducted to prove Lamarckism. And supporters of Neolamarckism also took up the discovery of hormones and their actions against Weimann's objection to their inheritance of acquired characters. These Neolamarckism supporters, they argued that the sex hormones produced by sex glands could bring about changes in the soma of an organism. Some of such changes can be inherited. These experiments, though were not so convincing, made a few biologists think before rejecting the idea of Lamarck completely. Some, JBS Haldane, were of the opinion that although all the acquired characters were not inheritable, the possibility of at least a few of them getting inherited cannot be ruled out. So that was how the theory was actually worked out again after many years. However, the theory has not gained much of the support from modern evolutionists. So this is regarding the Neo-Lamarckism. So we saw Lamarckism, the four laws of Lamarckism, and what were the observations Lamarck made to propose these laws and the theory of acquired inheritance, and then the contribution of August Wiemann against Lamarckism, and then the Neo-Lamarckians, the experiments conducted by them to prove the Lamarckism.